The CT Politics channel proudly presents CT Politics TV with veteran political strategist Dan Meyers, the #1 show in Connecticut politics. Connecticut politics from the inside out. Now, here's Dan.
Wait, what are we doing today? Not housing again. Housing. Oh, it's a problem that never just seems to go away, right? And there's so many facets to it. And so I've been doing show after show and bringing all the different people who have vested interest in one side of the argument or the other, whether we need more local control or more government control. In the meantime, the government has set aside money and is working with different developers to get affordable housing built, right? So about a year and a half ago, I brought on the wonderful Renee Dobos from Connecticut Housing Partners, and we learned about all the interesting facets of things that they do. From actually, they'll completely renovate a property for affordable living, and then they'll manage that property. And then 20, 30 years down the road, when it needs a renovation, they'll renovate it again, and they'll manage it for its next new lifespan. But anyways, let's bring her in and see if I got any of that right at all. Housing's not so bad once you get to meet Renee. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm great. How about you? I loved your intro.
Well, sometimes that's how it feels, doesn't it? It just seems like, oh my God, you open up, I want to say you open up the paper. Nobody ever does that. But you look on your phone for news and you find out that, now we have 3,000 homeless people, or,
right.
Zoning has shut down a proposed community plan that, that now is in litigation. And can you give us some good news, Renee? I mean,
well, I think the good news, if we want to glean that, is that I think the politicians in Hartford and the governor are finally understanding that this we're in a crisis, and we have to start dealing with this like a crisis, like we did during COVID. Right now we're short 110,000 units in Connecticut. In the United States, we're short 3.9 million. So not only is our local political environment kind of getting focused on it, so is Washington. There's actually 3 bills that are trying to get through the House and the Senate, to help with technical assistance for towns and things like that on how they can incorporate housing into their environment. In Connecticut, the legislatures that I've been talking to, basically the Housing Commission, they're really focused on this concept called fair share. And it was a report that was based off of what's happening in New Jersey, and it was written by Open Communities Alliance. So if you go to their website, I'm sure you'll be able to see the white paper on it and how they're talking about implementing it. And the legislators are really keen to look at this. They're keen to possibly implement parts of it, and then have it be married up with laws that are already in the books, which is 830G, which basically gives a developer the right to go into a municipality and bypass planning and zoning as long as 30% of the units are affordable.
Now that's very controversial.
Yes.
To say the least, right?
Yes.
That's a controversial proposal, but these are the things that are being tossed around up there. And before we get into further, can you just explain what Connecticut Housing Partners is doing or does?
Sure.
I didn't know if I got it right. Did I get it?
No, pretty much right. So Connecticut Housing Partners, this year we're celebrating our 35-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So please go to our website, cthousingpartners.org, and you can learn about the work that we do as well. And we provide a variety of affordable housing. We provide housing for families, for seniors. We have a congregate facility, which is assisted living light, and also supportive services facilities, which is basically taking people, mainly women and children, out of the homeless shelter we house them, and then we surround them with social service support to stabilize these households. So we're doing, a lot of work. Most of the people who live with us are hardworking families. They go to work every day, and they're just trying to make ends meet like the rest of us. And they're trying to raise their families and make sure their kids are stable. And so we work hard to provide that kind of opportunity for households. Right now, we're in the midst of a total gut rehab of a 69-unit development in Stanford known as Parkside Gables. And then in a few months, we'll be breaking ground on another total gut rehab in Bridgeport, 44 units, family development. So we're really busy. And then we have some new developments that are in our pipeline as well that we're trying to build in Monroe, also to add on to our supportive services in Bridgeport. So we have a lot going on. And so not only are we trying to maintain the assets that we already own, but also add assets to our portfolio because the need is dire. We mainly leverage the tax credit program through the state of Connecticut Department of Housing. That's how we're able to get cash infused into the project. It keeps debt service lower so that we can deeply skew the rent so that our debt is less because our rents are less. And that way we're able to keep the property.
How much would approximately are you figuring a Stanford unit would rent for?
Oh, a one bedroom easily $3,000 to $3,500. We've seen that in the
Doesn't sound affordable, Renee.
No, that's not what I'm charging though.
Okay.
I'm basically
I need a new wallet. Hey,
yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm basically, think of it this way. We 30% of your income towards rent. That's a HUD standard.
Yeah.
And so typically our rent structures are around that. It's obviously tiered, some people earn more money than others. But typically we're housing using tax credit program. It's 60% area median income and below. So that's who we're basically serving. Sometimes, some developments might have a few market rate, but if they are, it's probably 80% area median income and below. So, we're, and you'd say, all right, well, who's earning that? You know who's earning that in Stanford? That's your school teachers, your firemen, your nurses, the pharmacy assistant. These are the people that are living in your community, especially in Stanford, and they're
to live in your community.
Exactly. It's really a struggle. And I think that's what people don't understand. I think when they hear affordable housing, they have a very negative connotation because they're thinking it's like a housing authority that's highly densely populated. And, housing authorities are, housing the poorest of the poor.
Hey,
yeah,
this is affordable for you.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
It's affordable for you. That's right. So, or
Yes.
somebody that needs it.
Yes.
How many people do you manage in your properties now, or how many rentals are there?
Oh, how many? Oh, so we have a little over 500 units right now. And then we also have another company, Real Estate Masters, where we manage assets that we do not own for others. We have about 400 units under contract. And then we also have a brokerage house, Wise Choice Realtors, where, you have real estate agents and you buy and sell real estate. And so a lot of our employees have become real estate agents, and then with their own sphere of influence are able to make a little extra money. And then it helps the organization too, because, any profits that we get from those two other organizations feeds the mission to make sure that we're continuing our mission of our nonprofit, which is to build affordable housing. So we're really an end-to-end real estate development company. We do it all.
What are you seeing for bills at the legislature that you're following? I mean, work, live, ride, all the big stuff.
I'm not a fan of work, live, ride.
And you're not?
No, I've expressed that. I like fair share better because work, live, ride is basically following the train tracks, and we need affordable housing in all communities in Connecticut. I'm not opposed to it, but I just think it's limiting when we have a shortage of housing Like, say, for instance, Northwest Hills, people aren't thinking about that. According to the study, they're short 3,500 units of affordable housing.
Holy
The
smokes.
the northeastern section of Connecticut is short 2,700 units. Southeastern, 10,200 units. So these are places where the train doesn't go. And also once you get to more rural areas, there's not a strong bus service either.
I was thinking, after kind of talking to all these different players at the thing, is that they had kind of started to lean towards the work, live, bride thing because they were getting less pushback on centralized, industrial location or whatever where the train came through, or and that they could, get their foot in the door to then spread it to other places. But you think the other bill is better, and fair share, and compare and contrast them, and why you think one's better than the other.
Well, I like fair
you
share.
Just did, but
Yeah, well, only because fair share is going to put pressure on every municipality in the state of Connecticut to provide their fair share of affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
And why should only Stamford, Bridgeport, Norwalk, Waterbury, why should only those cities be providing affordable housing? A diverse community is a healthy community. And, and I do think about the environment a little bit too, because if I have to drive an hour and a half to go to work, or an hour, and if I could live in the community where I work, that's a quality of life issue for me, as well as, polluting less with my car and wear and tear of my car. So that's just how I view the world. It doesn't mean it's the right view, but
yeah,
work, live, ride, if they leaned on it, I'll embrace it. But how much land is around the train tracks? They want it within a mile of the train tracks. So where's all this land coming from?
Yeah.
And usually it's high price land too.
It can be, that's for sure, especially in the areas down in the southwestern part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the change in the presidency to Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and a multitude of different cuts coming down in different departments, is that going to have any effect on the push for housing here in Connecticut?
I'm not sure yet. The one cut we did see already is funds that flow through HUD called Section 4.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's capacity building funding that we apply through LISC, Enterprise, and Habitat for Humanity. They're like the arbiters of, keeping that money and then doling it out to people who apply for it. And so we did see that cut. And I know those three organizations I just mentioned, I think they're trying to think about some legal challenges to see if they could get it back in. And the reason why it was cut is because the programs were loaded with a lot of DEI language. And the Trump administration, obviously doesn't like the DEI language. So it may get back on track if they, take some of that language out. It's hard to say. Also, we're a member of NeighborWorks America, and we're one of about 250 in the country that are members. It's kind of like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval for our organization. And we were concerned about the funding that we get from NeighborWorks, but with the continuing resolution going to the end of the fiscal for the government, they'll get funded this year. Now, will they get funded next year? We don't know.
And so the governor himself, or the legislature, has put, I believe, was it $350 million into housing? Is that the right number? I think Susan Reisowitz told me that.
Yep.
And how is that money divvied up, or what's it being used for? How do you utilize that?
So often when we're so first of all, let me back up a little bit. So first of all, we'll go to Department of Housing in Chaffaa It's called the development engagement process.
Hmm.
And we'll say, hey, we're thinking about this project. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And if they say, yes, they like it, then we start the application process to put it forward. And they like going through the development engagement process because then they can see what's coming into the pipeline. And then by seeing what's coming into the pipeline, then they can start thinking about their resources and how they're going to allocate the different resources. So often when we're putting a capital stack together, tax credits, and then of course, once we get tax credits awarded, then that's $4 million of bond sales that brings in cash. And then there might be a loan on the property that it can pay for, and then soft debt, which is basically a grant. And so by looking at all of that, that's how they're able to figure out how they're going to fund things. It's my impression from, working with them is they have ample resources. And I've worked in this industry a long time. There have been years where there weren't ample resources, where, the funds were really, low. But the governor recognizes that this is an economic issue because he's admitted he's trying to attract business into the state. And the first question he's being asked is, where are the workers going to live? So he's in a conundrum. He wants to grow the economy in the state. He wants to attract business and good jobs, but we don't have the housing.
That's amazing. And I was just thinking that, down in the Groton area or Southeast Connecticut, where all the shipbuilding and stuff is going on, they need to bring in tens of thousands of people, and they can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
What are people just going somewhere else? Or, I mean, what's happening in terms of the market? Is it just pushing people out the bottom and, onto welfare and the streets?
I don't know that it's that dire. I think, I'm not saying we don't have a homeless issue in Connecticut. We do, but I think we manage it well through the Coordinated Access Network. We have a good program in the state where we try to get people housed as soon as possible. But again, the units have to be available for them to move into. Mm-hmm. But I think what happens is that, especially our younger generation, I have children, adult children, it's so expensive to live here that they're considering moving to a different state where it's more affordable. And, we were having a drain of residents for many years until COVID hit. Then when COVID hit, we had 50,000 new residents move in, and they were coming out of Massachusetts and New York, which are higher cost states than we are. So we've kind of absorbed that. But then what's happened is they've come in, they're buying all of these properties, and then they're evicting people. And so the legislator is sensitive to that as well. So they'll renovate it, right? Because maybe it was affordable, they'll renovate it, and then they want to,
get the high
make
rent.
Make the higher rent. So the legislators is sensitive to that. They're seeing that. I don't know what they plan to do about it, but I think they want to kind of put some restrictions on how you can evict people, when you can evict.
I mean, are they going to try something like rent control or something like that in New
York?
No,
they are not.
Okay.
I did talk to, bad idea, rent control.
Yeah.
we did, all we have to do is look at
doesn't work.
That's right. We just have to look at New York and know it doesn't work.
That's right.
No, they are aware that it's really a supply side issue. We need to increase our supply. So they are sensitive to that.
So these homeowners must be very happy, elated when they finally get a home of their own and they're handed the keys. Any examples?
Yes. So we kind of been showcasing her. I think she's on our website too. Her name is Erica. And Erica is a school teacher who worked in Stanford, and it was her and her son. And she moved into one of our affordable units. And while she was living there, she went back to school and got her master's degree. And And then most recently, because our property manager was talking to her, and our property managers talk to our residents, and when they see them get to a certain financial place, they'll start talking to them about, you could buy a home, you could buy your own home. And so she went through like the counseling for first time home buyers. She went through it, and she actually purchased her first home. She moved to Bridgeport, and she bought a condo for her and her son. And she's just the proudest woman on the planet, because owning your own home is what we all dreamed of doing. We all dream of that. And it just was so exciting to watch her evolution over the years.
And Connecticut Housing Partners was there
Yes,
the whole time.
that's right.
That's really a lovely story, and I think we need more stories like that of people getting through hardship, and because it's $3,000 a month for rent is just a lot of money for people. You know what I mean? You need to make $50 an hour to be able to kind of overcome any, that's just where we are now. So maybe some of these efficiencies we're seeing at the government level will trickle down, but it's hard to see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to stay positive and hopeful, and hope they navigate their way through in a good way, and that it benefits us as they're trying to tell us it's going to benefit us. So let's just wait and see.
Yeah. What would you consider a win through this legislative season if certain things go through, or what would you like to see that would be helpful to what you're doing?
Yeah, I've been talking to the legislator, because it takes a long time to get the applications in and get the funding. It can take up to 3 years before you get shovel in the ground. So I've been really talking to them about the streamlining process. I understand CHAF is like a bank, and they have regulations and things like that. But do we really need to provide every one of these documents that we're providing? Is it really necessary? Is there a way, even if it's temporary, right? Even if it's to get us through this crisis, let's streamline the process, make it easier and cheaper so that we can get shovels in the ground. I know the Chaffa pipeline right now has about 18,000 units in it, but we're short 110,000. So that's 18,000 in 3 years. So we're just scratching at the surface, and we need to be more intentional. I've been telling the legislators, I said, listen, like when Amazon came into Connecticut, that's a big company. I'm sure they were getting tons of tax credits. You should be telling big companies like that come into Connecticut, you need to build 500 units of affordable housing, because that's going to benefit your workers and it's going to benefit you. Same with electric boat. Electric boats should be helping. They have to partner with the government to provide the housing for their business. It's feeding their business. And so we have to do a better job of partnering with big business that's in Connecticut and have them participate in solving this problem.
Now, are they participating? They seem very concerned about it. I know with having CBI President Chris D. Pentima on, that it's the number one concern for them. And they're really looking for solutions to solve the problem. You know what I mean? Because they can't move forward and increase production of nuclear submarines unless they get people down there to weld them up. So I really applaud what your company does. I really find it fascinating how it works through all the different phases of this. What do you hope to accomplish in the next year, 2, 5 years, or whatever, in terms of growing what you're doing?
So what I'm trying to do is I want to partner with, and I've been talking to some, I want to partner with some market rate developers of housing. I want them to build it for me. I'll keep building too, but they can build it cheaper and faster and then sell it to me. And so I've been working with the Department of Housing. Like I have a deal right now where there's a building being built and it's going to be sold to me. And then I'm getting the financing through Department of Housing. So it's a quick way to increase the numbers. And this is almost a 100-unit building. So it's not like it's just 20 or 30 units. It's substantial. And so those are, I want to have more deals like that. Well, I'll keep building, but then if I can start, working with the market rate developers. I actually met with another market rate developer yesterday where he says, I want to get into the affordable space. There are some market rate that want to get into the affordable space. And I said, why? It's so much brain damage. So, trying to get the applications in, it's hard. So, but, they want to learn and they want to figure it out. And so we might have a good partnership there where maybe one of their team members will work alongside my real estate development team to learn how to do it, because we need more developers, and DOH and CHAFA, are out there talking to the market rate people saying, we need more developers. We need more people building. So, but I
think you hit it on the head though, is that to become that developer requires the 3-year applications for work, and to be able to survive, you know what I mean? Commercial construction is quite a beast. And when you're trying to keep the numbers as tight as possible and get things accomplished, you can run into cost overruns and issues with reliability and that stuff. I know that very well. I did business development for a civil site work contractor, as well as PM and estimation work. So I've talked to every contractor, every general contractor in the state with regards to getting on their bid lists and stuff. So there's a lot of developers out there that might take you up on it, but for them, they want that profit. So I think that's what the hard sell is,
Well, if they sell me the building, they'll make a profit, and that's then you know what I mean, and then they go on to their next deal.
That's true. Well, hopefully that works out for you, because look at you're doing the Lord's work here, and Connecticut definitely needs more housing.
Yes.
So, anyways, I want to thank you for being a guest on CT Politics TV again, and I hope you'll come back
anytime.
Tell people how to learn more about Connecticut Housing Partners, or to get involved with you to get a house.
Yes.
Or a place to live.
Yes. So go to cthousingpartners.org, not com.org, and please donate, because, you can imagine we're always, as a nonprofit, we're looking for funding to make sure our mission continues. And we're celebrating our 35 years, and our slogan is Making Home Happen. And we have a key campaign, which we're undergoing. We're going to be selling raffle tickets, and you can win up to $25,000. And then we have this great dinner at Pinstripes in Norwalk in the fall. So keep your eyes out for that campaign, and visit our website often so you can be updated on current events at Connecticut Housing Partners.
Thank you, Renee Dobos.
Thank
you. I hope
you'll
come back real soon. And I hope it goes your way at the legislature this year and you get what you need.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Wow, that was great. I love talking to Renee, and she's so full of housing information. You know what I mean? It makes you feel like it's going to be okay, from thinking about this leviathan of the housing issue, which is kind of gripping Connecticut and holding us back from economic activity that we could have if we had more workers building more jet engines and submarines. That would be good for our economy, right? And we need more money because they're cutting a lot of money at the federal level. So there's programs and stuff that we probably want to save somewhere that are going to require money. So she's doing good stuff over there. Please support Connecticut Housing Partners. Make a donation. Join their gala. And I will be back real soon. And I think we have SEMA up next, Connecticut Energy Marketers Association. So look forward for that. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching CT Politics TV with political strategist Dan Newmeyer. Advertising opportunities are available. Want to be a guest or do a show? Contact us today. Find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, or at ctpolitics.tv.